Welcome to the review of The Fruit of Evolution. Before I knew it, my life had it made season 1. Now onto the episodes. Before I knew it, I was living in another world begins with a god sending Seichi and his class to another world. Seichi gets an extra skill from the god. Seichi gets transported to a forest. Seichi finds and eats the fruit of evolution. Seichi's friends learn that he was transported elsewhere. Seichi gets more skills by eating more fruit of evolution. Seichi gains new skills by defeating a monkey. Seichi evolves. 5 months pass. Seichi defeats a wolf and evolves. Seichi fights a gorilla. Seichi learns that the gorilla's name is Saria. Before I knew it, I was living in another world. Ends with Saria taking Seichi. Final evolution. Naked beauty begins with Seichi hanging out with Saria. Seichi's classmates get trained at a school. Seichi escapes Saria. Seichi goes into a cave. Seichi finds a Dark Lord. The Dark Lord attacks Saria. Seichi defeats the Dark Lord. Saria transforms into a human. Seichi reaches his final evolution. The duo meets the dungeon administrator Mr. Sheep. Mr. Sheep rewards the duo. Final evolution. Naked beauty ends with the duo leaving the forest. Artoria. The calamity begins with Seichi gaining skills from defeating a slime. Seichi and Saria arrive in the capital. Seichi and Saria arrive at the guild and meet Gussel and Ellis. Seichi and Saria join the guild. The guild asks Seichi and Saria to take tests. Seichi and Saria are proctored by a woman named Artoria. The trio helps out an orphanage. Seichi's classmates spend 5 months training. Artoria. The calamity ends with Seichi and Saria completing some tests. Black Dragon God's dungeon begins with Seichi and Saria continuing the testing. Seichi scares off a group of demons. The duo takes on their final test. The trio steps on a teleporter that was placed by the demons. The trio arrives in a dungeon. The trio encounters monsters. Artoria meets the Black Dragon God. Black Dragon God's dungeon ends with Seichi and Saria coming to save Artoria. The Calamity Bride begins with Seichi fighting the Black Dragon God. Seichi defeats the Black Dragon God. Seichi levels up. The trio clears the dungeon. The trio returns to the guild. Seichi talks to Artoria. The Calamity Bride ends with Seichi giving Artoria a ring to improve her luck. Crying out love in the center of another world begins with Seichi speaking to Gussel. Seichi learns that his classmates are at a royal capital. Seichi visits the library. Seichi goes shopping. Artoria speaks to her friend and learns that she is in love. Seichi talks to a shopkeeper about love. Seichi and Artoria talk. Artoria kisses Seichi. Seichi goes out with Saria and Artoria. Crying out love in the center of another world ends with Seichi and Artoria kissing. Lulune appears begins with Gussel telling Seichi to buy a horse. Seichi visits a stable. Seichi takes a donkey named Lulune. Seichi speaks to 2 painters Clay and May. Seichi and Lulune enters the Royal Cup. Seichi and Lulune win the Royal Cup. Lulune appears ends with Lulune turning into a human. Beautiful Valkyrie begins with Seichi hanging out with Saria, Artoria and Lulune. Seichi is taken by 2 Valkyries. Lutia meets with the Demon Lord army to discuss an alliance with the Kingdom of Winberg. The Valkyries bring Seichi to the Kingdom of Winberg. Seichi meets the leader of the Valkyries, Louise. Seichi's classmates arrive at Barbador Academy. Seichi defeats Louise in a mock battle. Seichi talks to Louise. Beautiful Valkyrie ends with Seichi learning that an assassin is after King Winberg. Black Cat Oliga begins with Seichi learning that the assassin is an 8-year-old named Oliga. Seichi fights and defeats Oliga. Seichi heals Winberg. Seichi hangs out with Winberg. Saria, Artoria and Lulune hang out. Zakia gets ordered by King Kaiser to go after an assassin. Louise meets Saria, Artoria and Lulune. Black Cat Oliga ends with Oliga getting interrogated. Creeping Kaiser Empire begins with Seichi meeting with Oliga. Zakia fights a man named Xian. Xian flees. Seichi frees Oliga from an enslavement spell. Seichi learns that Oliga's race was enslaved in the Kaiser Empire and turned into assassins. A member of the Demon Lord's army makes a plan with a member of the Kaiser Empire. Oliga joins Seichi's party. Seichi trains. Creeping Kaiser Empire ends with Louise and the Valkyries leaving to assist a knight named the Black Paladin in defeating monsters. Monsters vs. Crazy Guild begins with Seichi meeting the holy mage Barna. Barna talks to Winberg. Winberg is informed about incoming monsters. The Valkyries and Black Paladin fight monsters. The member of the Kaiser Empire and Demon Lord's army succeeds in sending monsters to the kingdom of Winberg. The guild fights the monsters. Monsters vs. Crazy Guild ends with the guild continuing to fight the monsters. Before I knew it, it's the final episode begins with the guild fighting monsters. Seichi creates judgment magic to defeat the monsters. Barna asks Seichi to teach at his academy. Seichi hangs out with the girls. Seichi and his party goes to a painting competition. Mei wins the painting competition. Louise and the Valkyries return. Demons plan to bring despair to resurrect the Demon Lord. The demons plan to attack Barabador Academy. Seichi's classmates get worried about him. Before I knew it, it's the final episode ends with Seichi's party and Barna leaving to Barbador Academy. That was the fruit of evolution. Before I knew it, my life had it made season 1. Now onto my final thoughts. Starting with the good, the characters all played a part throughout the season and the comedy was good. There was nothing I would say that is bad since it was an alright take on the isekai genre. Overall I would give it a 7 out of 10.